Yeah. Okay, so hello, Woody. Congratulations on passing your CAPM exam. I can see the certificate right behind you, right here. So thank you for agreeing to do this chat with us today and sharing your lessons learned with us. And just as we're getting started, tell me a bit about yourself and what motivated you to get your CAPM certification.
Well, of course, my name's Woody Carter. I'm working as a net systems admin over here in Jordan. And part of my career goals, being a lifelong learner, is to seek self-improvement, and being a project manager was always one of my things that I wanted to aspire to get into. I was in the military before, so I had a lot of operational experience, and they say you need the paper to follow up with that. So I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and try and get the PMP. And some had talked to me about why I wanted CAPM versus PMP. Why don't you just go straight PMP? Well, what I found for myself is I have a lot of certifications, but I don't have that much hands-on experience with those certifications. And that was limiting me in some opportunities. And then when I looked at PMP and CAPM, it said CAPM was for initial project managers, one that helped them get them up on their feet and learn and be a junior PM. I said, you know what? Somebody's probably going to hire me. They want me in a junior role. At least I have that right there. And I got 5 years to get my PMP. So that's why I decided to go with CAPM first.
Right. And what industry do you currently work in?
It's an IT industry.
Okay, so you're currently in IT in Jordan, right?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Very cool. So tell me about your study plan. Like, when did you start studying? What did you do every day? How did you balance that with work and everything else?
Well, this I started originally, I want to say back in roughly January, looking into it really. In February, I got a chance to go back home, and I said, well, let me get the PMBOK, because I had Rita McCauley's CAPM. It's kind of intimidating. It's thick as well, but they said you got to get the PMBOK, as everything for the CAPM is based off the PMBOK right here. So I like, okay, so I went out and got the PMBOK, and that was back in February, and started looking around. When I came back over here is in March timeframe. And I was just kind of shopping around, trying to figure out something that was going to fill my need. And I know everybody's different. So I was searching around, and I did find another resource, and they provided a certification, or the 23 hours. They had some different resources in there. I'm like, you know what? Okay, let me just get this one right here so I can at least get started doing something. And so I was watching the videos, but the narrator's voice just didn't sit with me. I went through it and I listened to it, because I had to, but I just could not see myself. They had almost like 100 different videos, so like what you have, but they had each one broken down into a video, and I had to listen to his voice. I was like, and he read from the script of the slide. So I went ahead and went through that. And then while I was doing that, I was still shopping around. And then I came across your videos. I listened to your YouTube videos. I said, well, and I saw how you had all your resources and stuff like that. I was like, I think I can try this one right here. Right. And also I went ahead and said, even though I'd already paid for the other one, I said, you know what, let me try this one. She has money back guarantee. It's like, well, you know what, I think I'll be better off with her. So I went ahead and signed up for it. And I really enjoyed your courses. It's like I could listen to you, and I liked how you didn't just read from the script on the slides, you expounded on everything right there. So I jumped in on that. So, but now how my process started, I have I'm not sure if people wrote my calendar out.
Yeah.
You really can't see it too much. This is back in May. But I wrote everything down to keep me on track. And I know everybody's really different. For me, my job right now, I'm working night shifts, and we know most night shifts is really low key. So I get plenty of study time. Um, so for the others, like I mentioned in the post, you can still use this format, but just break it down into days or however you can. So my very first thing I did is I watched all your videos, but I didn't try and take it all in at once. I just took, it was like the first couple of days you had numerous videos, and I wrote them all down over here. It's like, I know you can't really see it too much.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
but it's, yeah, it just says the integration is 178 minutes. There's 8 videos. And so I broke them down by time. I said, you know what? How about I take each one of these one day at a time and see how it goes. So that gives me a chance to stop, pause, make my notes and whatnot. So and that's what I did right there with that one. But along with each video, after each day, I would write down the 49 processes. So I created the chart. It's like the original one here. Actually, I went off this one. It has all the 49 processes on it.
That's from our course, yeah.
So I have this one. And what I did is I wrote them all down. And then I have the same exact chart as you have. And so how I got this chart is instead of having black font, I made it white font and I printed off. So I had a nice, easy flowing. So I know exactly an idea of what each one was.
Right.
So that helped me know that when I come to quality management, it's a thin line. I only have like so much to put in there in the procurement ones. So that helped me guide in there. And then I would do that every day. Every day I'd come in the first few days, I'd have to look at the chart, write them down, look at the chart, write them down. But into the first week, I was able to write them down. In the second week, I could write them down in any order I wanted to. And I did it every single day just to get them all down.
Wow.
So, and then, so once I finished all the courses and I was still writing all the process down, I said, you know what? I need to get into PMBOK because I know there's some things in there to help reiterate it. I learned before when my other IT courses that repetition helped me out. So your courses were great. You expounded on everything. It really helped out. And then when I read each one of the chapters, in the PMBOK, you see all my tabs in here. Wow. It's thick, but if you were to look at it, if you don't have the PMBOK, you can see that the pages are not full up, right? And the font is not so small. So while it's a thick book, the pages are not all full. So it's a lot smaller than you might realize. Right? And then as I broke them down on same thing on this chart right here, I have my 49 processes. I have the chart that the section that I was going to read, and I've put on there how many pages it is. So like integration in the PMBOK, it's only 49 pages. So I'm like, okay, that's a reasonable chunk. I can sit down there and read that. And I would do a quiz afterwards, one of your quizzes in there. So I know in my post, I mentioned that watch your videos, then do a quiz, and then read the PMBOK, and then do the quiz again. This is, of course, Monday morning quarterback. Sit back here. If I could do it over again, would it do something different? I had great success in what I did by thinking to help reiterate it, it would be a lot better to take your course one section at a time, do one of your quizzes, and then see how you do. And then you can do the review. And then once you read the PMBOK, that section on integration, whatever, you'll see a whole bunch of things of how it lines up right there. So that's what I wrote on the post. And now I grade my quizzes on here. So I have my 49 processes. I have my area that I'm studying for that night and a quiz and my score. So that's how I went about my study process. And I would go back and do my review, read some more, do a review. About 10 days before, actually 2 weeks before, I believe it was, I took my first full exam, the whole, just to get used to see how long it takes. And it's like, I got about maybe, I think the first one was 63%. You know, you think it's kind of discouraging. It's like, oh my goodness. But then I went back and I reviewed and said, okay, that's, you know, I could start to see everything that I reviewed that was on the 150 question test from your website. I remember it in the PMBOK. I remember you saying something. I remember it, some of those things being in the quizzes, and they all started clicking a little bit more. I'd go back, review, open up the PMBOK, and find it in there, read a little bit about it right here. And then do the same thing for the other full test. The week leading up to it, I would consistently do more quizzes. By that time, you can say I had them memorized. They're a little bit different order, but I had them memorized, but I still could look at them, read them, and understand them, and try and pick out some of the keywords. And those repetitions helped me realize that the questions that are in your quizzes, you would have little hints as to what the answer might be. So something come up here and say, what is a technique for this right here? And that should key you into a tool or technique. Because I found myself getting some simple questions wrong because I would answer it and I would not realize that it's a tool, it's a technique, and I picked a OPA or EEF. And like, they gave it to me. I should have known. These are simple ones. Know the difference between OPAs and EEFs, tools and techniques, inputs and outputs. So that right there really keyed in out here. And I looked at, I mentioned in the post as well, you have 22 total quizzes out there. You have 5 full-length tests, and you have 10 knowledge area quizzes, 50 questions each. 2 other areas, which is professional responsibility and project environment, and then the 5 process areas. Between all those 20, I did every single one of them. I reviewed every single one of them out here. And I just kept doing it. And with 150 questions, sat there in the book, just did that day in, day out. It's like, my friends are telling me I'm stressing too much about it. You know, it was like, so I only wanted to do it one time out here. And in essence, it paid off out here. So that was basically my study plan, coming in there, just having that flow. And I think if for others to have some success as well, you can follow that kind of outline, listen to your videos, take a quiz, read the PMBOK, take a quiz, and do the constant review. Look for those little keys in the question. The questions will guide you to what the answer is going to be. It's an input, output, tool, or technique. As far as the ITTOs, just sitting there reviewing those, constantly looking over those. I had I know you can't see it too much, but on this right here, these talk about what are the different type of data analysis, interpersonal skills, data gathering, data representation, decision making. This is a whole list of what all these are. I wrote them down. It's like, oh, no, you can't really.
I can see it. So it's like groupings. So all the
Right.
technique under data gathering, interpersonal, and PM skills, decision making, data representation.
Mm-hmm. So, because what I found in the quizzes is like, you know, you would say, hey, what are some of the inputs for this right here? And they would have them. They're not going to just say data gathering or data analysis. They're going to have one of these sub elements in there of that that describes data analysis. So I was like, oh man. So it threw me off like in my first big test. I'm like, holy crap. So I got to know all these right here. So I wrote them all down so I'd have an idea. If I saw one, I could know, hey, brainstorming is this right here. So I know that's not one of the answers. Multi-criteria decision making, that's definitely not one of those right here. And so we had that. And then there was one that about the data in and data out. We got the work performance data, work performance information and work performance reports, you know, and it'll be like, okay, all these are inputs except for integration. All these are outputs except for integration. Like, and I'm like, what does that mean really? He's like, so what I did is, I know you probably can't see it, but this right here is the monitor and controlling.
Yeah.
So on this side, I would say data goes in, data comes out. Data goes in, data comes out.
Okay.
And then that helped me realize and say, oh, so in executing, the only work performance data comes out of that. So say it drew a line from data managed, direct and managed project work. Data is going to come out of that. It's going to go into monitoring and controlling. That's going to go in as work performance information, and it's going to come out as a work performance report, and then it's going to go straight underneath it into perform integrated change control as a report. And then I'll look in there and say, well, is there anything else? It's like the reports also go into monitor and control, or manage communications, and monitor risk. So I write them down just so I'll look at it. It's like, it's just a WR or WI is WO or some stuff like that. I'm not sure. So I wrote them all down, and that right there. So when I would see something on the question, it'll say work performance information is a input to this. I'll be like, I just know, is it a monitor and controlling process, you know, or is it what is it, or is it work performance report? You know, that would help me key in on, let me know if it's input or output, or if it's not one of the possible answers. So I help key me in on that.
Wow, that's really great. I did have one question about your calendar. Did you make that in retrospect? Like after every day, did you put down what you did for that day, or did you plan out what you were going to do and then you followed along with that plan?
Now I actually made it out before. So when I created it, my roadmap, I was thinking originally that I had until mid-June to take the test, because that's when I really started getting hot and heavy into your course. And so that was 2 weeks roughly after I signed up for it. But said, well, let me map it out, because I work best with guidelines. And so I said, hey, I tabbed all my chapters in there. I saw how much you had on yours. I said, just take it one day at a time, and I'll just chip away at it. So it was best for me just go ahead and write it out there. And then after I did it, you can't really see it too much, but there's little check marks in there.
Oh yeah.
So let me know that I had did it all.
Okay. Okay. So you kind of, when you were saying like you watched part of the videos and you did a quiz and you read the PMBOK, how did you decide upon how big the chunks were that you were going to do every day?
Well, it was about the size of it. Like I said, your courses, each one, like for integration, it was the biggest one. You had roughly 3 hours on integration. I said, you know what? That was the biggest part right there. So let me do 3 hours, roughly 3 hours a day of your course. Then I could do my process management, and then I could do a quiz out here. And somebody had chatted in, want to know how did I memorize the ITTOS, I believe it was.
The formulas.
The formulas. Honestly, with the formulas, you know, I threw caution to the wind, and I went with the basic 5 ones. The CV, the cost variance, the schedule variance, CPI, SPI, and EV. And of course, I knew about the communication nodes. And there was like, I think, and total cost performance index. So I looked at those, and it's like, you know, I look at some of the quizzes, I said, you know what, there's a lot of formulas out there. So like a lot of ITTOs, and all the references I saw in there was say, hey, you can't memorize all the ITTOs. I'm thinking, well, I can't really memorize all these formulas in here. So let me just go with my basic ones and go with that right there. And knowing also that I took the test in my room, And so I wasn't allowed to have the original office feeling of having 15 minutes to write down all my cheat notes, write down. So I'm like, all right, when I log in, I want all the time for my test. So
Right.
I had to make sure I memorize everything coming in for it. And those are the basic 5 ones that I studied. And I think how many chapters are in the PMBOK, and are they summarized? The chapters are not summarized in the PMBOK. Now your course did an excellent job on summarizing pretty much the PMBOK. And I know you had mentioned in the video how it's better to listen to it than some people get discouraged by having to read this thick book.
Exactly.
Um,
And it's not really written in understandable English as well. Anyone who has tried to read it would know that it's a little bit like Shakespearean. It's a little bit hard to dissect what they're really trying to say. And a lot of times they say something very easy in a very complex sort of fashion. So our course really just tries to dumb it down into a language that anyone can understand and understand how project management will work.
Yeah, and that's why I would highly encourage. I mean, it really worked for me. I listened to your course first. I listened to integration first. I listened to each one of your subject areas first. And that gave me a great understanding of what to expect. And then when I did read it, I could translate Shakespeare. I could understand what he was saying and say, oh, okay, this is what she's talking about. I could see all those little intricacies that they're trying to get at. And then if I didn't understand it, I could always go back to your course and see what they said about this. And then I'll use the quiz as a review.
Right,
For
right.
that.
And what were your scores on your practice test when you were going into your actual exam?
Well, thank you for asking that. I was thinking about that earlier. I knew there was something I was thinking. I was really discouraged. I think my averages was on your 3 tests. The
Yeah,
first one was a 69.3. The
yeah.
second one was a 69.9. And then the third one, I want to say I dropped that back down to a 69 something. I was like, holy crap. It's like, what is going on here? So I was getting really discouraged about it, but I had to review. And one thing my buddy kept telling me, he said, hey, win, lose, or draw, the test is 2 June, or actually 1 June. So I was like, you're right. Let me retain as much as I have. So I noticed some other individuals, they were saying that want to know their scores, how much do they have to score before it. So for me, I would say that it's like, ideally you want to score in the 80s, at least a passing, get on your, it's like, and that's definitely gives you a definite warm and fuzzy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it doesn't mean you have to, or you don't be scared to take your test. Go in there, and as long as you know that information, and you come in there and do your review. And then when I did my review, I could see it's like, holy crap, I missed that one. It's like, that's a tool and technique. It's like, damn it, Woody, you know this stuff. So I was like, okay, I should have done better. But maybe I was because some of my tests was taken right at 2 hours. And I was just thinking, all right, stick and move, I didn't want to think about them too much. I just stick and move, just get it. And then I would slow down a little bit. All right, let me make sure I understand the question. Let me see if I get what they're trying to say. Make sure I don't miss those little tips that they're going to throw in there. Somebody mentioned about the online exam, the built-in camera. I had a built-in camera on my laptop,
Mm-hmm.
but also,
did you take your CAPM exam online?
yes.
Okay, you could do it online. How
Mm-hmm.
was that like?
Well, it was supposed to start at 2:15 in the morning for me. And I went there half hour prior, like I said. I did my camera stuff. I had an external camera just because I thought it'd be a little bit easier, because they want to take the front side of your laptop, the back side of your laptop, the left side and the right side of the area that you're going to be sitting in. Right? So that's why it made it easier to do it. So I'm not sure if you can take one with your built-in. Of course, you have to spin your laptop around to take it. For me, it's easier with my little portable camera. So I did that.
you can't have anything on your desk, right? No
Can't
paper.
have, can't have nothing, no desk, nothing. You got to be just a very sterile to the left of you, to the right of you, behind you, and everything's got to be real sterile. And they don't want to see nothing out there.
Okay.
So
But
then, go
had a
ahead.
shelf behind you or something like that. Is that okay or no?
That's fine right here.
But
Yeah, because
your desk area had to be completely clear.
yes.
Okay.
Right. So that was about 30 minutes going into it. And then about 2:15, after I registered, they said, okay, you've been pre-registered. They'll call you and let you know when it's time. I'm like, okay. So I sat around, 2:15 comes,
Yeah.
no phone call. I started getting a little nervous. I'm like, oh crap, 2:20. So what's going on? I'm looking and refreshing. 2:30 comes around. I'm like, oh my crap. They said 15 minutes. You could possibly be non-refunded and all sorts of stuff. I tried to call them online. I refreshed it about 2:45. I said, let me go ahead and just redo everything. So I redid all my videos. I did all my photos. And then right when that came up, it said start exam. I clicked on that and it came up right then.
Okay.
So if you're going to do it online, try and be there 30 minutes earlier so you go through it. And if it doesn't start right on time at your time, retake your photos out there. And then you should be able to get the start exam little button to come up, and it should come up. Now, once you're taking the exam, I sat there, I was pretty much leaning like this, and the proctor came on there and said, hey, would you mind removing your hand from your face? And I'm like, oh, okay. And then a couple of times the questions tend to start from the left of the screen and go to the right. So I'm kind of like looking up like this, and they say, could you adjust your monitor or keep so that you're center of the screen, right? So that's some of the things that the proctors want to say. You got to be center of the screen, no hands to your face. Right
Wow.
here. And then once the test was all said and done, they offer you a quiz, little survey. If you do the survey, I didn't do the survey. I just want to get it over with. And surprisingly, the results came right up. Said, congratulations, go celebrate, you passed.
Ooh. That's awesome. And did they allow you to use a big monitor or desktop?
I
Did
want
that
to
matter or
I
no?
want to say no, because they look at they'll tell you when you log in, there's no open icons on your laptop. So you can't have, only thing that can be open in there is just that test. So for you to be kind of like have an external monitor, you're looking over here, they're like, okay, what's they're looking at? Right. So I would say no external monitors. Most of the laptops now, or at least most of them, are 17 inches.
Yeah.
So they're actually pretty decent. Just sit down there and just watch that right there.
Right, right. So you could use just a big monitor or a laptop, but not both.
I want to say yes.
Yeah, either.
But that's definitely. I'm not sure if that's based on the proctors. Because I've talked to other people, they say they get online, they don't even know there's a proctor there because we can't see them.
Oh, you can
So,
proctor.
no, we don't. All we know is a proctor comes up, and we see ourselves on the camera, and then when the proctor is going to say something, a little chat box will come up, and it'll tell you, put your hands away from your face, stay in the center of the screen, or something like that. But you have no idea that there's a proctor there. So, but when the test starts, it says start exam, you're on your own. If you want to take 15, 20 minutes to write down your memorizations, your chart, your 49 process, that is on you, but you still got 3 hours before that window closes.
Yeah, but when you're doing the online version, you have to draw that on a whiteboard, right? Because you don't have the pen and paper. How did you find
Exactly.
that?
I didn't use it. Like I said, all the 49 processes, that was something else. All my notes, that's what I was thinking. I must memorize the 49 processes so I know those verbatim. That's why I wrote them down every single day. The formulas, I just wanted to know those basic ones right there. And I kept those because I know trying to write on that bored. Even with my stylus pen, it's like it would have took too much time. It's awkward. I really don't have that much experience doing that, so it just would have took too much time for me.
Yeah, yeah. And they also give you a Windows-based calculator that you can use as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That easy to use? Was that just
Oh,
like
yes.
yeah, Windows-based?
Yeah, it's real simple to use. Yeah.
Okay. So there's no problems there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So I think this is really good tips that you're giving people today. Thank you so much for.
There'd be something else. The This right here is the exam outline.
Yeah.
So it tells you all the subject areas. Like I said, I highlighted some. I should see that right there.
It's a little blurry.
Okay. So, well, I'm sorry. It's just the CAPM exam content outline, learning objectives. So it go by each one. So it tell you how much percentage each one is weighed in at. Right here. So like, okay, you can tell I highlighted some things out here and say, all right, make sure I go to those key things.
Yeah.
I can see those and say, all right, I use that as a guideline. The one thing that the other website had used, it mentioned about the code of ethics and professional conduct. So I printed off the code of ethics. I make sure I read that right there because that is going to be a part of the test. If you look in the exam content, it'll be on there as well. Mm-hmm. So knowing that right there, as well as you can't really see them, but these are all the 49 processes.
Okay.
So it's the
benefit of all of them. Okay.
So I wrote down all 49 processes. I wrote down from the 49 processes their definition and the key benefit. And I'm not sure if you can see that. Do you know what the red 7 is?
7 processes in yeah.
That's that phone number that you talk about in your video.
Yeah, the phone number technique. Yeah.
So I wrote them all down. I said, okay, memorize the phone numbers and know, because say, hey, she said do it. So I was like, let me go ahead and put them on. So each one of the processes, I had the red 7 up there, or the 6 and the 4s and 3s. So I would know which ones had so many processes in there. Because knowing the key definitions and the key benefits came in real handy on the test.
Just knowing what they are, right? Knowing what they are, and then knowing how they fit in. And so it helps you see the big picture, and you can always relate back to that when you
yes.
There's exam questions, right?
Yes.
So what's next for you in your career?
Well, I talked to my boss, and he's talked to me. He says, well, now you got to go for PMP. I was like, I'm thinking about it, but before I do try and jump into that, I'm gonna definitely take a little bit of time, but that time I'm gonna take is going to be actually really getting into knowing how they all work together. Because seeing how the videos of how to go from one to another, knowing how communication works with the resource management, and resource goes into procurement and stakeholders and how they communicate, they all intertwine. And so I really want to get a full understanding of that right there, because knowing how, like I said, I've done the review difference between PMP and CAPM. It's like CAPM, they go straight by the PMBOK out here. And PMP is like they really want you to know the ins and outs of the processes. So I was like, all right. So most of PMP, I believe, they said we're all scenario. So before I jump into that right here, let me fully understand each of the processes, how they really work. So I think probably by next year, I'll probably jump into PMP. They give me plenty of time to keep it fresh and try and really get to fully understand and take probably another course. Maybe I can redo your course in the PMP process.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back into this program for sure. Yeah, I mean, getting some real life hands-on experiences, seeing how all the processes work together will definitely be helpful when you're taking your PMP again, because PMP has a lot more situational questions. So that's definitely going to help with that respect. But yeah, I loved your process. It was, you know, one of the most detail-oriented, well planned out processes that I've ever seen. And, you know, I mean, congratulations again on passing your CAPM. Very well deserved. I mean, it looked like you put in a lot of work, and you had like a lot of really, really great tips to share here. So thank you so much, Woody, for coming on board and sharing all your experiences with us. And just as we're wrapping up here, any other tips that I didn't ask you or you didn't mention that you still want to share before we wrap up for today?
I would say, if anything, possibly like everybody else is doing, like I did, stress about it before you go. Stress and follow your plan. Really stick with that plan. Set a timeline for what you want to do, and try and stick to that right here. If you stick to that timeline, it'll drive you to meeting your goals. Especially if you go ahead and schedule your exam. If you schedule your exam, then you know it's locked in. And obviously, you can cancel it or you can reschedule it, but just pretty locked in, it stays your focus. Stress about it so that you get to the point where, I mean, people around me were getting frustrated because I wouldn't socialize. I've talked to them for a few minutes and I got to go. Gym times cut in half because, okay, I got to work the muscles, then I'm going to work the brain. I was just always thinking about this right here. And then surprisingly, when I took the test, and then having that little half-hour delay thinking, oh crap, this is not the way you want to start a test. You know, I did exceptionally well out here, and I thought it was real easy. I was like, wow, I was like, is this really what it was like? Did I get an easy test or whatnot? But, speaking to others, of how stressed out I was and how my processes were, being well prepared will make you think it's real easy. So stress about it before, follow your game plan, make sure you understand, do the reviews. The reviews are key in understanding why the answer is. There's numerous questions in them that I miss. I think there's no way that's it. And then after you explained it, I said, okay, that's what they're talking about here. Because there's some of the questions, I was like, what the heck is going on here? And then I'd hear the answer, watch your video, I look at it in the pin back, say, okay, now I get it right there. And then, like I said, when the test came, I think I finished the test probably right about 2 hours. And I was just sticking and moving. And I was like, wow, this is actually pretty simple right here. But again, everybody tells me as well, you're well prepared. So again, preparation is key. So follow your path as best you can. Stick with that right here and go after your goals, and you'll get them.
That's really awesome tip. I see one of the repetitions of your advice is repetition and repetition, and like it's not like you looked at something once and you're like, okay, I know this. Like you looked at it again and again and again, and it really synced in. And you also looked at how like specific processes then link to other processes as well, like how they all work together to complete the project. And that's what really, I feel like that's what really helped you understand.
Yes, it did, because it seemed like every time I would review something, I would catch something else. Okay, hey, I see how that clicks in now. Okay, oh, that's how it really clicks in. Before I thought I understood it. And then when I review it again, it's like, oh, okay, now I really see it. Now that's exactly what they mean. So yes.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, Woody, thank you again so much for coming on board. This has been so awesome, and congratulations. I know I said that 10 times already, but congratulations. It was very, very well deserved, and thank you so much for sharing all your tips and tricks with everyone else here.
No problem. And thank you for your outstanding course. I mean, like I said, I was able to listen to you, no issues. It's really well thought out lesson plans. You expounded on all your tips. You just didn't read the PowerPoint slides. It wasn't death by PowerPoint. I really enjoyed that right there. I said, okay, it was so easy just to absorb what you're putting out just by the way you presented. So I thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. That's it.